Um,
Okay, I got it.
Here we are with my great friend, a great accomplice that we've known each other for quite some time, a great soul, a great friend, an amazing being, Laura Phoenix Madley, that I affectionately call Adam Cara. So we're here. She's in Bunbury, and she has done a lot of great things. She's a writer for Motivate, uh, and also a poetess, an oracle card reader, and just an amazing being that I think deserve more recognition and could, if she was more acknowledged, could do even more things. So Laura, please present yourself as simply as possible to the world.
Oh wow, thank you, Maro. You're an absolute diamond. Thank you. Um, yeah. So essentially, that I am. I live in the Banbury area, which is near Oxfordshire, kind of nearish London. I think Banbury is kind of regarded as a farming market. We still have traditional markets here, and we've got the Banbury Cross, which is based on the old nursery rhyme, ride a cock horse to Banbury Cross this year, fine lady upon a white horse. So
Okay.
it's a nice little town. People are quite friendly here. I've lived here now probably for. See, I moved back here in 2001 because I
Wow.
moved around the world because my stepfather was in the forces, so that exposed me to a lot of different experiences. Most of the time, I spent around military personnel wearing military uniforms on the different bases. So, I've had a wide variety of different jobs from being a support worker, a carer, been a bereavement counsellor in Banbury as a volunteer, cook, I worked in nursing homes. Um, I've also worked for the military, taking care of military teens. So teenagers would go to a youth centre after school, and I'd go there and cook for them, and we'd watch movies, and we'd do kind of little activities. And I've been an Oracle card reader now since 2011 and 2012, and
Wow.
that happened when I was going through a very bad time in my life. I had a nervous breakdown, which is why they call it being crazy, but it's not. It's just essentially when you're surrounded by so much stress,
Yeah.
psychologically, you can't handle it anymore. Another idea would be, let's say, you imagine a well and the well runs out of water and it cracks, right? So
Yeah.
that was a very big opening for me. And I lost my tenancy agreement. I moved back home for 2 years and I started doing readings for people, for cups of coffee, uh, for meals, for sandwiches, and just it expanded and expanded. So now uh, the business has been going for about 10 years now, 10, 11 years.
Amazing.
It's won 2 business awards by Corporate Lifewire, prestige awards. I'm now a book author. So there is a wonderful, lovely lady called Sharon Brown who helped people to publish books. I've been a co-author in books such as Singled Out, which is bullying in the corporate world, and another book which is Stories from Around the World, which shares different women's stories from different cultures.
Okay.
And then the last book that was published, God, it's been so many, I don't know which order they're all in, is Empowering Women to Find Their Superpowers, which is volume 2. So just
Wow.
sharing our strengths and how we've overcome adversity. So all these books are available on amazon.co.uk. I'm also a published author in a magazine called Motivate Magazine, which is run by a business networking group called Revival Sanctuary, which is, again, just for women, which is based on collaboration over competition. So
Exactly.
there we are. It's very long winded, but that's me in a nutshell.
Wow, that's quite amazing.
I mean,
That's quite.
how do you sum up your entire life story? I mean, there's so much that's happened, but yeah, that's the short version.
Well, it's quite well furnished. I mean, you did that in less than a lifetime. That's you should be really proud of yourself.
Pride. That's interesting. I suppose it's more self appreciation more than it is
Grat-
pride.
Gratitude.
Yeah, yeah, self appreciation. I appreciate it. Appreciate everything that I've accomplished, and I appreciate what other people have accomplished also.
Well, so I mean, I know that you're a very generous soul, and that you have done so many things without counting. And Well, we are on that concept of amazing unknowns. Um, do you think? I mean, do you feel that the world has not acknowledged you enough for all you have done? Or do you think that, well, the recognition for the gratitude for all you pour out into the world without any kind of, you know, particular waitings has been very, responsive? The feedback has been good.
It's interesting. I think it's normal to want recognition. You know, a lot of people say they don't want recognition, but then mildly that is that's a load of crap. We all do. It's a basic need. You know, Maslow's hierarchy of needs, and wanting to be recognised for our accomplishments, wanting people to see and hear us. But I think it's more about having the right people see and hear you, because it's never going to be anyone, and we can constantly search for recognition in places where it's not being given to us.
Yeah.
That becomes very
Dangerous.
self-defeating, doesn't it? I feel so. So I suppose to answer the question, no, I haven't been recognised as much as I think that I would want to be, but I am recognised by the people who do see and hear me and value me, and so that does mean the entire world to me.
Exactly. Well, that's amazing. You mentioned that you wrote I mean, you wrote two books, one which is in the corporate world, and you mentioned a certain Sharon.
Sharon Brown. Yes, so the book is, I didn't actually write it. So Sharon Brown runs a business network called Revival Sanctuary. It's for businesswomen who want to network and collaborate. And she also runs the Book Chief, which is for people who want to either self-publish, and also Motivate Magazine,
Okay.
which is for men and women, so people can subscribe or submit articles. Not that every article will be published or guaranteed, but I was a co-author with 12 other women, so it wasn't. So what it was is I submitted a chapter, and then that was published amongst other chapters with other women who shared their stories. But the singled out was more about women sharing their stories of bullying in the corporate world, and how that's given them the strength to do what they currently do, and how they've overcome that.
Wow, amazing. And where could we find that work? Is it accessible on a website, or on in libraries, or
It's on Amazon, so in the UK, I'm not sure whether they ship worldwide, but if you go to amazon.co.uk, so it would be, you'd type in the search box, it would be singled out, and if you put a comma and put Sharon Brown, it should come up with the book. Let me just see. I might actually have. Let me put this down just for a second. See if I can actually find a
no worries,
copy.
no worries, no worries.
I haven't got a copy of that one singled out, but I do have a copy of the other two. So you've got Women Embracing Their Superpowers, Volume 2, which is this one here.
Wow, revival. Wow, amazing. Amazing. So basically, it's about women empowerment, entering the power, owning the power, and basically channeling their best self, best version into the world. I mean, what's the fundamental driving idea behind the project?
So, as it says on the back here, our authors open up to share their vulnerabilities, thoughts, hopes, and dreams with you and advice on how you too can push through life's challenges. So, there are actually two books which were published. I wasn't in volume one, so that was the first one, and this is volume two. So, inspiring your life stories of hidden superheroes. So, it people come in all, or superheroes come in all different sizes, shapes, and forms. You think of a superhero and you think of a superwoman or Batman or
Yeah,
um,
Wonder Woman.
wearing a cape. Yeah, so this is about that everyday people can be a superhero, and you're a superhero, Mario. I'm a superhero. The neighbor across the road's a superhero. But it's about
Thank you
finding
so
your hidden
much.
strengths and qualities
Yeah.
and becoming more resilient and learning to adapt to change and the world around you.
So beautiful, so beautiful. But I also know that you're a very gifted writer. And for example, we work on poetic experiments, which were last time you were bringing up something that I completely forgot. Like I think it was like almost 4 years, 5 years ago. And by yourself, you're already amazing. And with our little experiment and little experimentation, we actually like the French literary school of the Oulipo, with the kind of surrealistic piecing of words, concepts, and a lot of different techniques. They open boxes like a Pandora box, and they find new ideas. I think we kind of explored that path, and it was quite amazing. It was an amazing experiment. But are you still continuing writing? Do you have projects of publishing a book, an anthology of your work?
Ooh, I mean, going out solo with it is actually, it does seem to be a lot cheaper these days to publish with other people rather than go out and publish a solo book, because obviously when you do publish a book by yourself, you've got to deal with the graphics if you want that. You've got to deal with the marketing. It can be quite a expensive ordeal. But when it comes to writing, writing is very much a part of my everyday life. It's just there. Whatever I see that inspires me, I feel the need to write about it. We wrote so many different poems together, and it's beautiful. So if I did ever publish a book, it would probably be poems that we have written together, and it would also probably be what I call the channelings of Archangel Michael. So the conversations I have with the archetype, Saint Michael, whether you believe in angels or not, that's to each their own.
Yeah, to each his own. But okay, um, for example, do you keep a journal? Do you have like a morning routine, or a certain like certain morning rituals, like meditating, yoga, drinking coffee, or do you have because you're a very productive person. So
Oh God! I think trying not to fall out of bed in the morning when you're trying to hit the alarm on your mobile phone to go off. That would be run routine. But no, I'm very spontaneous because both very chaotic. So there's no particular routine I follow. I do have set days that I do certain tasks. On a Monday I'll go to the gym, do a bit of exercise after my main job. I do house cleaning on certain days. But if there's a need for me to sit and type, I will get out my laptop and start to write. But it's also quite dangerous, because when I get in front of a computer,
Mhm.
that tends to absorb all of my time. So I'll plan to do something. I think, okay, I need to write something. Only be 30 minutes, and 2 or 3 hours have passed, and then I haven't accomplished what I set out to do for the rest of the day. So writing for me can literally take over my life if I'm not careful.
So you basically flow. You go with the flow. You adapt, and you just you just go with your intuition.
Yeah, it's yeah, inspiration, creativity.
Yeah.
If it's there, it's there. That it needs to be expressed. I think true creativity isn't forced. You can't force yourself to be creative. The true creativity just tends to flow, and if you allow it to flow, then
Yeah.
something beautiful is created from that.
So do you believe in the zone, like being in the zone, so it flows, or uh, compared to, because some people say 1% inspiration, 1% luck, and 98% sweat. Do you believe in that kind of don't well, do you find any kind of relevance to that, or for you just 98% inspiration and the rest kind of just
I think there's certain parts of our lives where we have to do what you say, uh, the sweating part.
yeah.
You say 1% sweat.
Okay, 1% sweat.
I mean, I don't know. I mean, there are parts of our lives where we're required to push ourselves in ways that we don't want to.
Yeah,
Some of us have to get up in the morning to go to work, and we may be in a place where you don't particularly see it as a career move, but we're there because we need to make money to fund our hobbies and things that we do want to do. So that part of my life would be considered the sweating part. The parts that I don't really practically want to really do. I mean, in some sense, you have to do that. You've got a contract of employment with somebody. You have to honour that, and that may indeed require you to work hard and sweat for that person. But then outside of that, you can go into, I suppose, your own world and flow and create. And those are the parts of my life that I enjoy more than the sweaty parts.
amazing, amazing. So, um, for example, do you have like I know that you also draw, paint, or you have that kind of also you have different creative outputs. So,
Drawing. No, I don't really draw or paint. No,
oh,
I've taken and I think online you can get like a AI painting app or something,
yeah,
but no, not really. I mean, most of the pictures I share are from free sites like Pexels, Canva, Unsplash, and I share pictures that kind of match in with what it is that I'm creating or
oh,
writing.
all right. But for example, do you have like I don't know great sources, of course you must, great sources of inspiration that give you strength, faith, especially when you're a bit down, some great beings that were before us who kind of inspired you, during your journey. Do you have names of those influences in your life?
Well, there's Archangel Michael. I mean, for me, I believe that angels are archetypes. So, in a psychological sense, an archetype is known to all of humanity. Most of humanity knows about angels or demons or gods or goddesses. So that's shared by all of humanity. But an archetype can also be quite personal. So an archetype is like a part, it's really part of you, it's part of your psyche. And it holds all the qualities that you might believe that you don't have, or your repressed qualities. So think of it this way. Why do people pray to God? So they think that God is something that's separate for them, but really they have that statue of a God to put them in touch with the inner God inside of themselves. So it's kind of like an externalization of what's inside of you. So an angel is really an externalization of the deepest parts of you, or the deepest parts of mankind. So when I was very sick, I didn't believe that I had courage or strength. And of course, that archetype of strength and courage came forward to remind me of actually my qualities, because they are my qualities.
Yeah.
It's a part of me. Or we could expand that and say a part of God, if you believe that God is life or God is everything. So it's a part of what we are.
Mercy, yeah. All right. So basically, your how can I say, where you draw strength from comes mostly from an invisible source.
But it comes from, it's always from self, isn't it? It's always, angels are from self. So
Yeah.
yeah, I suppose I draw strength from the part of me that does have that courage, that does have that strength, that manifests as the concept of being an angel.
All right. Um. So, for example, don't you have any kind of, I don't know, how could I say, like, role models that were in the flesh, like, I don't know, Jackson Pollock, Francis Bacon, the painter, the philosopher, Shakespeare, Van Gogh. No?
I suppose role models. I suppose I don't idolize anybody in particular, but there's people where you come across something they're written and you think you really like what they write. You may not know much about their actual history,
Yeah.
but you like what they write. And like Khalil Gibran, his works, The Prophet, that was very inspiring for me to read that. Some of the quotes that Carl Jung has written, and some of the ideas that spring from Carl Rogers, the concepts of
Yeah.
personal centered therapy based approach. And so things such as that, even when I was young, I would read the poetry of Emily Dickinson. And she was
Yeah.
quite melancholy, but it was very real. So things such as that, drawing strength from reading stuff that the suffragettes did, Emily Pankhurst, and then you've got, is it Joan of Arc, and is it
Yes.
Boadicea as well? So really, I suppose I take my inspiration from really strong women who have stood up for their rights.
All right, all right. So I mean, um, how do you, for example, how do you find the world today? Um, do you find it the best we could do, or do you think there is still room for us human beings, humanity, mankind, to do better and to come together and uh raise our consciousness, our intelligence, and our daily exchange as energetic beings? How do you find the world we live in now?
It's interesting because we can project so many different ideas onto the world. It's a blank palette, isn't it? It means
Yeah.
whatever we choose to want it to. Humanity can be, you see beautiful things that people create and do in the world, and you also see very horrific things.
Oh yes.
And I think human beings are capable of great wells of compassion and kindness, but they're also capable of things that are not that. But at the same time, we have to allow both to exist, because that is life. The duality, people say, you get one without the other, but actually it's all life, it's all God. The concepts of see it as being bad, but actually it's all beneficial. Even negative emotions have a benefit on some evolutionary level. And when you can get to the point to see, well, yeah, it does suck. All of that chaos does suck, but actually without it, could the other really exist?
That's true.
And then you have more appreciation for life.
Exactly. So it comes back to the concept, if I'm following you well, it comes back to the concept of the yin yang, the oriental yin yang. In every good deed, there is a seed of darkness, or in every seed of light. In every, sorry, in every great light, there is a seed of darkness, and in every great darkness, there is a seed of light.
Well, it was deeper than that. The yin yang really has nothing to do with good and bad. It has to do with, you've got
Polarity.
um every side. The concept is that the mountain has a shadow, right?
Yeah.
The outside of the box has an inside of the box, and it's about that interdependence. It's about that you can't have an inside without an outside. You can't have a sky without the earth. So it's a marriage of opposites. Those opposites are not against each other. They complement each other. They work together, and they've never been in battle. It's only in our mind that we think, oh, negative is bad, positive emotions are good. But when you accept that as part of a totality,
Oh, yeah.
it becomes less threatening. You have a sense of integration, and you can work with all of those different aspects. I think it was, you've got, yin and yang, male and female, warm, hot, cold, the different, I'd have to bring up a diagram of it, but it's just the complementary energies that are working
Exactly.
together. But even that arises from the void. I think the void is called Wuchi, which is nothingness, which is just a circle with nothing in it.
Yeah.
And then that gives rise to the active. I'm not sure if it was yang first. I think it was the yang and then the yin. So the extent at which we experience one is the extent that it starts to become the other. There's always that flow. There has to be, because that, if you think of everything is created from energy, without that flow, there was stagnancy, everything would die.
That's that's very true. But for example, yeah, I know that you also have a very powerful connection with the Oriental philosophy of life.
I wouldn't say I have a strong connection, but I've done a little bit of research. As you do, I think it's good to kind of research the different symbols, like researching what the Om means,
Exactly.
researching what the Yin and Yang means, and you find that they are very similar, and it all takes you back to God or Brahma or the Tao. Or I think Alan Watts did a very good talk on
Yeah.
yin yang and what that meant.
Exactly. And Alan Watts is the perfect blend of West and East. Um, I think you might be kind of how can I say a spiritual daughter of Alan Watts of some sort.
I liked a lot of what he talked about. He was very humorous and he was very down to earth, but he was also quite realistic.
Yeah.
A lot of modern day spirituality is very woo. And it's all about, we're all happy, we're being positive, but actually you can't exist there, because what you suppress, Carl Jung said we all have a shadow. What we suppress
Yes.
finds a way to manifest itself on some level within ourselves, unconsciously as unconscious behavior.
Exactly.
And this is what we're currently doing. We're repressing and repressing all of this stuff, and it has nowhere to go. And I call it the collective ego of humanity in some degree.
Oh yeah. 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 And Kara, we're coming to the first like it remains 1 minute of the first part. Would you like want to say something before we come back again?
No. It's been fascinating. It's been a talk that's an interview that's really really flowed, and it's interesting to see what will come up next and where this is all going.
Perfect. I love it. I love it. I love your enthusiasm. I love your enthusiasm. Um, well, for example, could in the next part, could you, for example, read some certain of your poetry or articles that you would like to share, or
I could find something. Yeah, I could perhaps maybe even read a bit out of one of the chapters I wrote in one of the books.
that would be
Got that here.
gorgeous. That would be gorgeous. So, let's say in 2 3 minutes, or let's give us ourselves maybe I don't know, maybe you have to go,
I think I need to turn the light on because it's actually getting quite dark in here. So yeah,
perfect. Let's give ourselves maybe 10 minutes and come back.
fantastic. Okay, lovely.
Perfect, perfect, perfect. So see you in 10.
See you in a minute. Bye.
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 Bye for now. So we're back
Okay.
again with the great Laura Phoenix Madley, that you can also, I think, find on Facebook. And I don't know, like, for example, if people are very interested by your work, by what you do, by your purpose, where could they find you, Laura?
You can find me on Facebook. So if you type in Visionary Heart, hopefully it will come up with a green background logo with a hand holding a pink lotus. Or you can type in my profile name, Phoenix Madley.
Yeah.
Or your best bet would also be my website, which is www.visionary-heart.com. So that's also where you can find me.
Perfect, 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 perfect. So I was actually saying, for example, for those who like me, I'm so motivated to listen to your writings, your poetry. Do you have anything that you can share with us?
I can. So I have my chapter here in the Revival Women Embracing Their Superpowers, Volume 2. I mean, obviously, showing you stuff online would be harder unless I did a screen share. But unfortunately, I don't want people to really see much of my bedroom and what's, lying around in here.
No, but if you don't, we can basically, since my camcorder has a little problem. I think it will probably audio. It will be an audio, that time around. So don't worry.
I can read the chapter. It's not many. It's only about, because we had each of our chapters had to be a certain length long for publication. I mean, so the chapter isn't about 4 pages. I could read that to you.
Please do.
Yeah. So I'm chapter 19 in Revival Women Embracing Their Superpowers, Volume 2.
All right.
And the name of the chapter is called The Lotus and the Mud.
Amazing. The Lotus and the Mud.
And the mud, the lotus and the mud. Yeah,
Perfect.
absolutely. Perfect. It says, now we are both here. I suspect I better say something. My name is Marjani Phoenix. Some people still call me by my birth name of Laura. Our names are powerful things. They embody who we are, and words can absorb right into the pores of your skin. In some way, when you read, you take in part of that person. For me, the ideas of business summed up a woman in high heels and a short skirt, or someone in a suit. There I was, in my jeans and t-shirt, spreading my creative blogs, quotes, and personal life all over Facebook. It was something I wasn't meant to do, you see, nor share the rawest, most vulnerable parts of myself with the world. Yet I do that. As for me, being authentic is my life. Usually people took one look at me, saw my arms covered in tattoos, and labelled me a troublemaker or an unprofessional person. Many business people had called me that. I wasn't on their most marred wanted list, the hit list maybe. Yet I was now the best voted tarot card reader of the year in all of Oxford 2020, as voted by Corporate Livewire in the Prestige Awards. I had 2 publications in a magazine and over 40 reviews, and some were recommendations on the writing of this on my website. I don't do the whole crystal ball thing. The future is something you create with every choice. I live in a quiet flat with 2 pet rats. However, that is just currently. And for the last 9 years, almost 9 years, I've attempted to deliver a different kind of oracle card reading. I believe new models of understanding could be created about business, ones that go beyond image competition and the meaning of the word profit. What we define as profit in the world is purely an individual thing. Why does profit have to be something financial in nature? So then I fathomed, what if Visionary Heart, the name of my business, could make a profit of another kind? For me, making profit is knowing that what I do gives me meaning and purpose in life. Therefore, I am making an infinite amount of profit, and also knowing that what I do helps those who do not benefit. And also knowing that what I do helps those that do benefit from it in their lives. Yet many people won't and don't consider me a business. You see, Visionary Heart has mainly been non-profit for many years, but I invite people to give a recommended donation of £15 if they want to, yet they don't have to. All I ask is that they are honest. My life is regularly filled with people telling me that I should have set a price. If I had £1 for every time someone told me that, I would be rich. Yet a person's value isn't estimated by the sum of how much they earn or even charge. Worth is something that you self-design and other people contribute to. That's not to say I won't charge in the future. I remember the toughest parts of my life without people to turn to, and what I really needed to hear was, you don't have to face this alone. Whatever it is, I can't fix your problems, but here's how I can be here for you. Yet we all need to hear that at times, don't we? In much of the world, support is given to others if you pay a price. Should this always have to be so? For so many, revealing their inner core of feeling and emotion, their vulnerability, insecurities, in a confidential space which is then free of judgment, can be hard. Yet I believe it could be natural. Where it's natural to embrace emotion and feeling, people then can reveal their most hidden parts of themselves, talk about their aspirations and goals, invite who they want to be to come out and shine beyond the mask they think they need to be for others. I offer a space where people can find those things out for themselves. In life, guidance isn't about someone knowing what is best for you. It is about going within and deciding what that is for yourself, where your meaning arises from the inspiration of yourself and not what society has chosen for you. I had gained my wisdom from life experience. It's so true that part of us is forged in our struggles, and life is defined by your own meaning, like the lotus which grows in the mud. We learn from our unfortunate circumstances. We learn to face the world courageously, full of feeling, and share who we have come to be, which is always ourselves. We're not here to get rid of the realities of life. Struggle is part and parcel of being alive, as is joy and happiness. So Visionary Heart was birthed in my mother's bedroom. The shame at the ripe age of 31 in the year 2012, having to move back home and after being unable to hold down a job, and as a result losing my privately rented accommodation, I was registered as homeless. I'd suffered a massive nervous breakdown. I'd also moved around most of my childhood when I had remarried when my mother had remarried someone in the military when I was 11 years old. I'd been to 6 schools, and it was a constant experience of unpacking and packing my life into boxes, moving every few years. I lost count of the many homes I lived in, many overseas. I moved back to the United Kingdom by myself in 2001, living in house shares. My self-development started around the age of 22 after a suicide attempt and being diagnosed with clinical depression, which I overcame. I built up a skill base. I had already walked away from high school with exceptional high grades and an award signed by the military for taking care of youth of military parents, and an award signed by the President of the United States, Bill Clinton. I spent time working in everything from factories to care homes, support work and care work. After the breakdown that occurred many years later, I was a broken person. I used my own self-therapy to help myself. As I recovered, I used self-therapy to really connect to people. I sat with the homeless, the drug addicted, ex-criminals, travellers, the young, and even the elderly. I took on bereavement care volunteering and visited others in their homes. I would trade oracle card readings for a cup of coffee. As the only income I had was from the benefit system, it was a long struggle to rebuild my life, and I did. But if there's one thing I learned, it was that it has to come from you. Nobody else can save you. They can give you tools, listen to you, have understanding. And in those times, God was closer than ever to me because I realized that what I called God was something that existed in myself as the creative force of my own life. It was through resilience and self-belief that I built myself back up. I opened up the greater recesses of my unconscious mind, the voice of Archangel Michael, and so much more during the breakdown. Whatever you deem spirituality to be, I see it as the deeper parts of the mind that know the yearning of your own heart. In turn, I offer people that through my readings as a place to find their own voice, because when we deeply listen to others as much as they are invited to listen to themselves, we learn how to be intimate with ourselves, with God, life, and the universe. You see, I remember one day looking down when walking outside. I had been standing on a little sticker with a picture of a phoenix on it, who can rebirth themselves in every situation, who can indeed rebirth themselves in every situation but ourselves, by striving to forge a relationship with change, befriending difficulty when it happens, and transforming it and ourselves as we have to ultimately live with ourselves. In turn, this becomes how we relate to others. We can face the dark and find our own resources of hidden potential within. Those things need the light of our awareness. Authenticity, being real, is the greatest thing you can offer the world. Business is not another place for me to sell something, even if I did charge. Instead, it's an expression of the deepest heart of me, where I can encourage others to also remove their masks rather than just create more. Always heading in the direction of life. Self-employment, running a business will mean whatever you want it to mean. As Archangel Michael would say, where you go, life goes. Make all things bright and beautiful, for they recognize each other as partners. The eyes were given to see, as you were given to life. And there we
Wow.
are.
Astounding. I think in what you just read us, it's a kind of a summary of your life journey.
Yeah, a quick, well, a long-winded summary of my life. Obviously, things have changed. You know, I don't have pet rats at the moment. They all passed away. I gained another business award. So this is kind of like a memoir to my life and
Well,
things that have happened.
you should write a memoir. You have such an amazing life. I mean, first of all, the thing that I got from what you just read is the first part, your nomadic life. In you know,
Nomadic.
yeah, because you were, as you said, with your father, your stepfather, being a military man, going here and there. So I can imagine also, at the same time, it's very empowering, but uh, I know that, like for example, children of military officers or diplomats, or any kind of profession that requires you of moving around. It's as if you kind of, every time you're starting to have your roots a bit down, you get a bit torn apart. So how did you live all this? Did you live it happily, or was it happy traumatic? How, I mean,
I was always isolated, Mario. So, you know, most people might move around the same country, but they have childhood friends. I don't really have childhood friends because I'd be moving every 3 or 4 years. And most of the schools were schools for people who had children who belonged to military parents. So a lot of the people in those schools were American English. So
Yeah.
I remember at 11 years old going to my first school, and they all would have their different American accents, and they would say to me, "Speak English, speak English." I'm like, "I am speaking English. Is it English you for?" And I would get bullied and teased a lot.
Yeah.
I was very much a loner. On my breaks, I would go into the band room and play with the percussion. I was very good at playing the drums. I had a few friends, but there were always friends who had deep problems. I mean, not to say that we all don't have problems, but I would always be helping them with their relationship problems. I'd always be helping people sort out the messes in their lives, and
Yeah.
there was always a calling for me to help people, empower people with their problems, and that's great. But at the same time, I really needed the support. I needed somebody who could also sit down and listen to my shit, and my baggage,
Of
and
course.
and that's been a very rare occurrence in my life. I always attract people who need that support, and that's because I am that person who is willing to listen. I am that person who has the empathy, and that's great, but it's also a curse. If you are a kind person and you do have the empathy and you do have the understanding to understand human behavior, people are drawn to that because they know that you can offer that. It's what they need.
Yeah. Yeah, but do you feel a bit I understand perfectly what you mean deeper, we understand our beings on a deeper level. So do you feel that you're sometimes you feel like the wounded healer, or the wounded
Oh no, I wouldn't say that's. But
okay.
there's patterns of where people want to go in and think they need to rescue. Definitely not. I don't rescue people. I empower them with tools so that they can rescue themselves. And I have a lot of boundaries in place. I'm very, what's the word for it, in the sense of what I'm able to offer, I'm very clear about, and when I'm not able to offer that. This is why Visionary Heart became that place for people to come with their baggage and their stuff to share that. And outside of that, I tend to I only share in some sense with my family. I share online because that's my outlet as well. But who are allowed to come to me with their stuff
Yeah,
is a very bounded space, because it has to be, or you'd constantly get it. I don't ever feel the need to rescue people. I don't feel, I need to go and save somebody, because ultimately that doesn't help anybody. And also, does that person, we assume that the people who are going through hardship want our help, but the question is establishing, do they want our help? And if they do, what kind of help, support do they want? Because there's also that to establish. Um,
exactly. Exactly. But um please tell us how, like, visionary heart, you actually kind of you said it quite well, you described it very well, that it was on the verge of a life crisis, that
yeah, yeah.
exactly, that visionary heart came into life. And so please, like, tell us what triggered visionary heart. And it's a very beautiful it's a very beautiful conception, visionary and heart, like, as the heart have, the heart as a visionary, as how can I say, a visionary channeler, or a vision birther or something. um so explain me how, like, the oracle card, visionary heart, Saint Michael, you are interrelated.
Well, if we look at the concept, the idea of visionary heart, it's like two wings of a bird. I think that's how the Buddhists would describe the concepts of having vision. So vision would be jhana, or I think the name, is it pranja, or is it wisdom? So you have to have wisdom, and you also have to have compassion. The
Exactly.
visionary is the wisdom aspect, and having a vision in life. Because I'm not sure who was the person who said without vision, it's to do with, if without vision one dies, or without vision there's no life, or
Yeah,
light,
it's the
or
Bible. my people perish for lack of knowledge and vision.
Vision. Yeah, so vision is refers to, you've got to have aspirations for something. You've always got to have a vision, whether that's vision in your next goal, or vision on achieving something, or putting your hope into something, and wisdom and heart, which is karuna,
Yeah.
which is the ability to have compassion. And again, compassion can be very fierce. It's not this namby-pamby concept. You've seen a lioness protect her cub, right? So compassion is not sympathy. It's not feeling sorrowful. It's not feeling, I mean, we do, but it's different. Compassion compels one into action, and it's also counted among concept of empathy, because you have effective empathy and you have compassionate empathy, and there was another one, was it emotive empathy? But the whole idea of empathy was cognitive empathy. So cognitive empathy is the mind aspect of empathy, the ability to be able to understand what someone is going through and understand what it would be like to be them. For instance, I was walking through town today, and there was a homeless person in Oxford. There are generally homeless people, and I'm thinking, what would it be like to be in that situation? And then that brings up feelings of empathy.
Yeah.
And then you've got compassionate empathy, which is the action part of empathy.
Yeah.
You see something, you act upon it, and there's a sense of balance that you need with all three. So you can feel empathy and cognitive empathy, but it doesn't mean that you have to act on that. So it's knowing, it's having the wisdom when to kind of be compassionate. And most of all, to ourselves. Sometimes actually the compassion that's needed is for ourselves, not so much the other person.
Totally. I think exactly. I think you have clearly and precisely detailed, the levels of empathy, compassion, empathy, the action part, and let's say the more, cognitive, intellectual, how could I say, representation of the situation some other fellow man is going through, but not necessarily acting on it, but feeling, the um that could be me, that could be any one of us, in that situation.
Yeah, and we forget that. We always say, "Well, that could never be me," or "That would never happen
Oh,
to
never
me."
say,
And
never
I
say
think
never.
that's the ignorance. It doesn't matter where you are in life, how rich or poor. Actually, yeah, it could be you
It could be you.
one day, or it could happen to you. So it's about not taking things for granted.
Exactly. And emotional intelligence, I guess, emotional intelligence, which is, I think, has become more and more kind of a trend these late years, but um, all trends set apart. Um, for a long time, the most, how can I say, the metric that we used to, how can I say, empower, to the metric that we used to measure a worthy human being was its IQ, or his IQ, or her IQ. But now we talk of, the emotional quotient. So, do you think people are waking up to their emotional, intelligence, abilities, emotional superpowers, or you think that it's quite the opposite?
Well, we're all born with our emotions and feelings. I like to believe intact, but how we utilize them in the world is very much what we learn when we're growing up as children. Everybody has the innate ability to have empathy, but how our parents express that, the people around us, our conditioning, I think, can inhibit that. And I suppose it's about choosing to take those qualities and nurture them to some degree.
Absolutely, absolutely. But now I'll permit myself, if you may, to ask you a more personal question. Um, I I don't know if it's just a perception or an image of the mind, but you seem sadder. I don't know if it's. I don't know.
Sad? I
Yeah.
no, no. I'm thinking. I'm reflecting.
Oh, okay. Because I know that you went through a lot recently with the loss of your pets who were very dear to
I did, and also again, I'm always put in situations where I'm having to stand up for my rights or other people's rights. Ironically,
you.
that's been the whole main core of my life. You know, Archangel Michael standing up. That's been the whole story of my life, having to fight for my basic human rights
Yeah.
or
Yeah.
against people who often abuse that, or even people who don't know what your rights are or their rights.
Yeah. But how do you handle it on a daily basis when you're like, you have to always be, because I know that you're a very mellow person, very
Oh
kind.
God, I don't think I am. I can be, but when I get upset, I'm very passionate. I'm like a wildfire. So when I'm upset, people know about it. But that's a side of myself that I embrace. I don't pretend, oh, let's not be angry, because I think anger can be very purifying. It can be very liberating. It's the
Oh
whole purpose of
yes.
anger is to get us to stand up. To It's the opposite of fight or flight. So we either run away or we stand and fight something that we are passionate about.
Absolutely. But exactly, you said so brilliantly before that, um um you know that there are, and I think that's one of your life mission, I think, to make known that the darkness is not to necessarily be feared, that there is, like what we used to label as our negative emotions, such as anger or maybe frustration or shame or guilt, are not necessarily negative or bad, but it depends on how you kind of use them as tools to get back into your inner core, your center, and maybe alchemize all this and make something useful, beautiful, productive, and constructive for you and for those around you. So um I know, for example, I know that the like life is becoming tougher for most of human beings on earth. There are massive unemployments. People are angry. People are scared of the future. There's a lot of uncertainty. How, like, for example, you as um, I could say a seer, as an oracle. How do you see the future? How do you see the future of humanity, the future of mankind?
I think the whole idea of oracle cards is very distorted. People think oracle cards are going to have my future told, but I want to change the whole meaning of what it means to do oracle card readings. I mean, they're not there to tell the future. The future is purely based on an infinite number of possibilities, right? So
Yeah.
as soon as you make a choice, the future automatically shifts, and that's amazing. Why does there have to be one set future? Because imagine if there was, how boring would that be? Because then you could never change your fate. So I think it's about being open to receiving your future, and it can change. Um, and so the whole idea of oracle cards is more about reflecting back to people the different aspects of their identity and their belief system so that they can make a change inside themselves to go towards the future that they want to have exist for them.
All right. So, for example, what distinguishes my dear Laura the Phoenix and for example the PT of Delphi? Like
Sorry, I missed that. Say that again.
I say, what distinguishes you from For example, you as an oracle, I would say just an oracle, oracle card reader or an oracle, and uh, the PT of Delphi, that exactly, who said, for example, when if I remember well, a great when the king came to see her, she said, a great empire will be destroyed, you know, and the king, taking on what you said previously prior, that the future can be changed, and um, so that king took that to his advantage. He thought that, okay, so we won the war. Before going to war, he went to see the PT of Delphi, the oracle, and that was the message. But then he went to war and he lost the war. So do you see the irony of it? So that's what I was asking you, like, between like that, the ancient oracles of all the times and you, is the protocol the same, or is there fundamental substantial difference?
I think there's a difference. I think I think the wise would say that actually future doesn't even exist. It doesn't. That it exists purely as a mental concept. But people need a concept of the future because it offers them a sense of continuity to their existence. But the paradox is that you can exist
Yeah.
without knowing your future because it doesn't exist. There's only uncertainty. But that it's kind of like if you set a space in time and then go, this is my future.
Yeah.
In a sense, it collapses the reality around you, and it becomes a block to receiving. If you go, actually, there is no future as of yet, they're all potentials, then you expand and that future comes in because you're always heading towards that at the same time. Does that make sense? Because if you say this is my one future, then you've already limited your possibilities. This is my future. That's kind of like a limitation in life. I mean, yeah, we need certain limits, such as, if you jump off a mountain without gravity, maybe you'd float off into space or something. But the thing is, but when it comes to saying, I have a defined future, then you have to define everything good that comes of that and anything bad that comes of that. But then if you let go of wanting a future at all, then you kind of give up the good and the bad, and you allow life to entirely become what it was meant to be.
Wow, that's powerful. That's deep.
The
power
it's
of
the
now,
truth.
actually. No?
Well, no matter whether we think about tomorrow or yesterday, it's still all those concepts exist in the space of now.
Yeah.
But the past is a mental concept, purely exists as a mental concept in here.
Yeah, memory.
It's a concept, and nothing's wrong with that. Without that concept, we wouldn't have a sense of time and space, and we need that in order to be able to have an identity and be able to interact. So there's certain things that we need to be what we are and to appreciate those aspects. Yeah.
All right. For example, if you had a message, for humanity, for those who look up to you, the
Gosh.
youngins,
God.
yes, the next generation, for example.
I think there's something that Michael once said, and that was that when I was going through difficult, I need to go on, what's the path, what, and the path is yourself. In and of yourself, you are the path. That's it. There is no path. There is no, there's no one there with a blackboard writing your life purpose. Your path, you are that. And if today you want to be an astronaut and tomorrow you want to be a writer, then be that. If tomorrow you think you want to be something else, then why not? It's not a set future or meaning, and that's your power, is to decide the meaning of yourself, define the meaning of your life.
Wow,
Yeah.
amazing, amazing, amazing. So, I mean, how do you, for example, when everything seems to go south, what does Laura do to keep herself grounded and, to be strong, tough against adversity? Um, like, do you have any tools that you can share with the rest of the world too?
Um, I suppose, for nothing, having a good cry, that's part of being human. Fully accepting the situation that, yeah, that actually it isn't. The only way to get to work with what is by accepting that it's actually happening in the first place. So, if something bad's happening, to accept that it first of all, that it exists and you are going through that, because you can't work with what you don't accept.
Yeah, yeah. So basically, total acceptance of the good, the bad, the ugly, the great, the marvelous, and just, basically roll with that and embrace the whole spectrum of life.
Yeah, I mean, if you don't embrace one, you can't embrace the other. So you have to embrace all of the aspects of what's occurring, so that you can allow it the opportunity to change. And sometimes, there are things that you can't do to change the situation, but you can create a space around it, either till it does change or till you come up to a creative solution with it. But and also knowing that everything is ultimately impermanent,
Mm, mm.
even the bad, even the good. It's
Even
always the changing.
the impermanence of everything.
Yeah, it's like sand in an hourglass. You can't ultimately, nothing truly remains. All we can do is just appreciate what's there when it's there, because
Yeah,
that's all
that's
we
true.
can do.
That's true. That's true. That's true. Well, Laura, I just wanted to tell you that you're an amazing being. You're
Well,
an
so have you. I don't always feel bloody amazing, not especially with stuff that's been going on this week.
Okay, what has been going on? Tell me.
It just work issues again, fighting for my rights, basic statutory rights,
Yeah,
and
it can get tiring. I know a bit of it. It can get very exhausting and draining.
well, it can be, because it's always that endless. You think, God, I don't want to fight anymore. Just walk away. And there's that. I mean, there is that option, but sometimes I think it's good to stand your ground.
Yeah, it's good. It's good. It's good. It's good. It's good. But I know you'll win it, and I
I don't
know.
think it's about winning.
No,
I
well,
think
it's not
it's
winning.
about bringing, just, I suppose, awareness to the situation.
Yeah, but as you said, it's a struggle, right? And as Freud used to say, looking back, you'll see that the struggle was good. you know that actually some of your best years, your best days were when you had to stand your ground and you had to, carve a path through the jungle of life and
Mm-hmm.
events. And what I meant to say was, I'm sure that you're not just fighting for yourself alone. That whatever you're doing,
No, I suppose not. I mean, there's probably loads of people around the world fighting for different things as well. Fighting for different rights in their life and
exactly,
facing their certain challenges.
exactly. So we are at the end of the session. Any last words? Any?
No, just, I suppose, just people just do what they will. They say, it, is it love be the whole of the law, or is it will before love? I don't know. I think it's Aleister
Uh,
Crowley. God, but yeah, just do what you feel is right. Yes.
yeah, okay, okay. So if I remember well, to get to you is visionaryheart.com.
Visionary hyphen So that's the line that kind of goes across like that. So www.visionary-heart.com. Yeah.
Perfect. And on Facebook, Phoenix, Laura Phoenix Madley.
Or just Phoenix Madley, you'll be able to find me. And
Perfect. I'm so honored that you came to us.